What's up, everyone? Welcome to the Bronx Pinstripe Show. We're brought to you today by our good friends at Game Time, my personal favorite way to buy MLB tickets. The Game Time app gives the advantage back to the fans. It's the hack for unlocking amazing tickets and experiences in just a few taps. Of course, they have baseball games, but also pro and college football season is here. NBA season right around the corner. You can find concert, comedy tickets, and much more on the Game Time app. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code BRONX for $20 off your first purchase. More about them in a little bit. Scott, they finished the gauntlet.
The gauntlet.
7-5. 7-5.
Hey, we would have taken that, a week or 2 weeks ago going into this thing, and you come out 7-5 and you're like, okay, they took care of business. They did what they needed to do. They played the hard teams in front of them and came out with a winning record. I mean, they did the job. They did the job. There's some interesting things to think about this team still, but I think that they did the job. They had to do this and they did it. And now they have everything in front of them. Literally, as Boone says constantly, this is actually accurate. The entire season is in front of them now. They have to take care of these bad teams that are bad. In fact, actually, that's one thing that we didn't mark is interesting. Is that I think Baltimore, I was talking with somebody yesterday. Kemp had two baseball games yesterday. So I was out at baseball fields talking.
He's already playing double headers?
Yeah, they do double headers every other week rather than one game a week.
MLB should do that.
It's kind of, it's good. But there were some Orioles fans there. And I did not realize this, but apparently, according to them, I haven't fact checked this, but the Orioles have the best record or one of the best records in the second half of the season. Did not know that. So if that's the case, that means they're coming in hot, the Baltimore Orioles. So maybe that's a little bit of a tougher position.
Should we fact check that?
We should fact check that because the source, now that I'm thinking about it, I agreed in the moment
because they're 69-80. I can't imagine they would have.
As soon as he told me that, I looked at their record to see how many games back they were and to see what was going on, and I'm like, all right, and then I just let it go. I didn't even.
I don't think he's right.
Maybe American League, maybe American League East.
Well, they're 26-28 in the second half.
Well, that doesn't make sense then. Okay, so forget that. He was completely wrong.
Maybe he meant
it didn't. It didn't pass the smell test when he said it.
Did he mean this week?
I don't know what he was doing. There's some guys out there that drink on Sundays at kids' baseball games. There's no doubt.
Well, they're 500 against the Yankees. They've gone 3-3 against the Yankees, or the Yankees have gone 500 against the Baltimore Orioles. So either way, they should. On paper, it's an easy ass schedule. That's all I know.
It is a totally easy schedule. They should, when you have the Twins who are just like a shell of themselves, the White Sox are the White Sox. There's no reason you don't come in and improve your position in where you are. And right now, Toronto doesn't have that difficult of a schedule. 4 games back. That's going to be a tough one to overcome. Really 5 games, right? Mm-hmm. So then you're looking at Boston. They improved their positioning with Boston, obviously, and took care of business in Fenway. Which, look, I'm impressed by what they did in Fenway, because coming out of the Detroit series, I was like, I don't know what I'm looking at right now because of the lopsidedness of all 3 games, really. Because when you have lopsided games like that, you're looking at a lot of runs in spurts, a bullpen day for the Tigers. And you're like, okay, what did I learn from this? I'm not really sure. I learned that Glaber doesn't swing and miss a lot this year. Apparently Glaber really does like to do well against the Yankees. And he might be a thorn in the side at some point down the road. But when you have multiple lopsided games like that, it's tough to like come away with, okay, this is a telling series against one of the better teams in the American League, because 3 days one team had a bad day, like a really bad day. So there's not tension, there's not big hits, there's none of that. Going into Boston and doing and kind of exercising some demons against some pitchers that we haven't had success with. I thought it was a good series.
Yeah, I want to put the Boston series aside for a second because I think we'll probably spend more time on that. On the Detroit series, if you look at those first 2 games, which the Yankees got blown out in, it's not like they were out of those games from the start. Like I think it was a 2-2 game in the 7th inning in that first game, and it was a 1-run game in like the 5th or the 6th inning, the second game. It's like those were just complete meltdowns in the middle innings by the bullpen where they
Yep.
couldn't throw strikes. It was a disaster, wild pitch after wild pitch. It was a complete cluster. And so I look at that and I'm like, yeah, I kind of already knew that about the Yankees. If you're in the underbelly of their bullpen, it's not good. If you can get it to the back of the bullpen, which still you can say has questions, and I think still has questions, but at the end of the day, probably every bullpen in the league has questions to some degree. But if you're
unless you're Aroldis Chapman, who has found, just
okay, well, the Yankees got a scratch to run off him, which was huge on Saturday.
They did.
Bellinger with one of the best at bats I've seen in a long time, just battling lefty on lefty, not even flinching at a 99-mile-an-hour fastball, basically to his neck. So that was a really impressive at bat. But my point is, like, yeah, if you're gonna try and get through playoff games with the bullpen from the 5th, 6th innings, like, the Yankees are not going to be able to survive that way. But like, you can also say, no shit, stupid. No team can survive that way.
No, that's true. And obviously, the bullpen will be as stacked as humanly possible going into the playoffs. We'll have some guys in there. Warren, even though
no thanks,
he's got a sixth. Even though Warren, we're seeing in the one inning that he pitches the first inning is not a great thing. But you know what? Maybe the velo will be up if he knows he's only just throwing one inning. You know what I mean?
6.39 ERA in first innings this season for Warren. Yeah. And yeah, you could say, well, he had a blow up last night in Fenway. He had a blow up against the Dodgers at Dodger Stadium. You remember that? But like, okay, you got to at least look at the full sample size to say, I don't know if I can trust him in a short inning spurt out of the bullpen. Could he be, because he settled in last night? Like, like he did.
Did Boone say it?
I don't know. He probably did say it, but it's true. He did settle in, and he gave the Yankees had a chance to get back in that game because Warren gave them 5 innings. But like, the game was also over after the first inning.
He's done that multiple times where he just gives up a complete stinker in the first inning or first 2 innings, and then all of a sudden, he's in the 5th or 6th, and he's still pitching. So, it doesn't matter, I guess.
Would it have been better if he gave up 1 run in each of the first 5 or 6?
Like, yeah, I don't know. I don't know it is what it is. Like the box score ends up being the box score at the end of the day. But yes, you're right. He did save some arms. At least save the ability to not have to go to the bullpen, because it would have been way worse than 6 if you have to go to the bullpen after in the second inning.
But getting back to your point, like, they won these 2 out of 3 at Fenway. That was a necessity. These are the biggest 3 games of the season for the Yankees, not just because of the standing implications, but because of the implications of you're probably going to play Boston in a wild card series. So it was deciding where you're going to play those games, but also you have gotten your ass handed to you all season by Boston. Just for mental sake, you needed to win a series against Boston. So the first time you're trying to overcome that isn't October. So this was a necessity to win these 2 out of 3.
Yeah. And, I mentioned this last night in in our text, just as we were watching it. And obviously we'll talk about Volpe, because Volpe has not been playing. We've actually seen a Caballero come out there, get some hits, make some plays on the base path, made a fantastic play from short last night as well, and shows a little bit more of a dynamic player for the Yankees. But when you see him, and I was talking about this about Rosario too, when you look at Rosario's numbers and the type of hitter that he is, I know he's not the defense that you get with McMahon at third base, not close. He can play short. Again, you're giving up defense for offense at that point. But what he does give you is he gives you a much more consistent offensive bat that, I don't know, for me, I like his type of bat in the playoffs. He feels like a playoff bat. I don't know what that means necessarily, but he puts a lot of bat to ball. His OPS is in a much healthier place.
He crushes lefties though. So I don't see them playing him against righties, especially because McMahon's a lefty. So they're like, well, we got a platoon at third base there, but I think they're also going to lean towards defense in the playoffs.
Well, yes, but if you have an opportunity if you're going up against a lefty and you have a bat like Rosario there,
sure,
you got to play him. And that's where I'm hoping that the evolution or the progression of Boone and the nerds or whoever's making all these decisions have realized that they don't just need to plug in the same guy every single day, no matter what. They can actually play some matchups. These guys are not impenetrable as far as their starting position. and actually, look at what's happening in front of you, look at what they've done, and be able to make those adjustments. You can always bring in defense a little later in the game, but give me a few at bats for Rosario at third base against the lefties. I have a lot of more confidence with him.
By that logic, then he starts game 1 against the Red Sox of the wild card series, because you're likely going to be facing them against Garrett Crochet.
I mean, again, I don't think it's a bad. I don't think it's a bad thing. And him again, defense. I know you're giving up a lot with McMahon at third, but offensively, you're gaining a lot as well.
And listen, Houston could overtake Boston, or Houston could overtake Seattle, and Seattle could move back, which then they overtake Boston. So I think there's a lot of different scenarios that could still play out over the next 2 weeks. But I agree with you totally. It gives, I don't have a better word for it. It just gives the lineup more oomph. Like there's something there at the bottom of the lineup that is completely lacking, we know, with Volpe, but also with McMahon.
And it's, when you have Rosario in there too, it's a guy that just doesn't strike out as much, which I think is for this lineup, especially in the playoffs, they need it, because if they're going to go out and hit home runs with the top of the lineup, which is expected, right? That's how they're going to win the games. They're going to hit home runs, and you need guys on base. They can't just be solo shots. So getting
a lot of solo shots this weekend.
I know there were a lot, and that's the thing. Like if the Yankees
are
hitting
solo for both teams,
but if the Yankees are hitting solo shots in the playoffs, it's not going to lead to series victories in the end. They need guys on base to be able to drive in those runs for the big bats that come up. That's how they score. That's how they score first. That's how they score the best, and that's how they win games. So a guy like Rosario, to me, at the bottom of the lineup, is more attractive because he's getting on base. He's getting on base at a higher clip, and he's got more back control. He's a guy that in a big situation, I have a lot more confidence with.
Sure. And I hope they do find spots to get him at bats. But all I know is I'm done with Volpe this season. Caballero is the shortstop going forward. And I don't see how you can argue otherwise.
It's very difficult to argue otherwise, especially with, they're talking about this tear in the shoulder. Okay. When you get down to
my arm, ow.
But when you get down to what a tear, like a strain is a microscopic tear as well. Like you could position this how I want. It's, to me, there's a little bit of Yankees propaganda in here as well, because to say like, hey, a minute, the reason why he struggled for the entire year after the May injury, when he dove, shoulder third base, it popped. There was a little bit of a
wait. Hold on, is it even the same shoulder? Do we know?
I don't know, but it's that would be funny. But yeah, there's a microscopic tear. There's a strain, whatever it is. Obviously, he's not playing well, injury or no injury.
Right.
Caballeros is in there playing well, running the bases, playing defense, doing all of the things that you want your shortstop to do. Looks like he and Jazz might be the best up the middle double play duo in baseball. You play the guy that's hot.
Yes. No, not the guy that's hot.
The guy that's competent.
You play the guy that's actually contributing to the game at some level. Like, yeah, fine. If the Yankees want to hide behind this shoulder tear, labrum tear for Volpe, because I think that's what they're doing. Has his shoulder been torn for 3 seasons? Because his production this year is essentially identical to his first 2 years in the big leagues. So I think, at times he's looked worse this year than at any point in his career. But the bottom line is he's got like an 82 WRC plus versus a career like 84 WRC plus. So 2-1, half 6 the other, whatever the hell that saying goes, tomato. It's the same crap with Anthony Volpe.
Yeah.
And so this year you compound it with leading the league in errors. There is no reason for him to start at shortstop for the remainder of the season. I do believe they will go back to him in the offseason and give him another shot.
Oh, you're saying the offseason. I think they're going to go back to him this year.
No, you're probably right. But I think that is gross mismanagement. Like, I don't know how much more we need to see that Volpe is sucking the life out of this team.
It doesn't even matter. That actually doesn't even matter, to be honest, at this point, because what you're seeing at shortstop right now is a guy that's playing well, and a guy that's getting on base and getting hits and stealing bags and playing defense. So there's just no reason for it at this point. Like you're seeing he's the better player right now. And right now in September, on September 15th, Caballero is the better player. And at that point, like I've seen enough of a sample size for me to know that guy who just came over here at the trade deadline is a better player and gives the Yankees team a better opportunity to win games. And isn't that what we're doing? Isn't that what we're doing? Isn't that why we're all watching?
Well, so you think they're going to go back to Volpe this year?
Of course they are.
Boone alluded to it. Oh, he's taking grounders at shortstop. So
Yeah.
Whatever. Are you saying that in a sense where if Caballero trips up a bit and maybe has a couple 0 for 4s,
no.
You're just saying like
they're going to get him back in if he's healthy, if the doctors say that he can play and the cortisone shot did what it needed to do, fixed the tear miraculously, then he's going to play because he's the starting shortstop.
Cortisone shots don't fix anything. They just relieve pain.
I'm being sarcastic here. Yes.
Is he microdosing cortisone shots like DJ was?
That's a good idea. It's a good. How is DJ, by the way? Nobody picked him up.
Cash and checks. That's all I know.
Does he fade off into the distance like Rizzo did?
I think so.
I think so too.
Unless Colorado signs him as like an honorary.
I mean, they got nothing. I guess that's something they should probably.
You know, it would be a real kick in the dick if he signs with Colorado and hits like 315 next year.
Well, good. No, it wouldn't be a kick in the dick. I'd be happy for him. I would be extremely happy for him. But I think he does fade off to the distance because congratulations, tip of the cap to Rizzo, who just retired.
Yeah, I think Rizzo, who has already faded off into the distance, DJ and Stroman all fade off into the distance. I don't think we see any of them on big league rosters again.
Yeah, I think you're right. But yeah,
who else are the Yankees paying? They're also paying Hicks.
Aaron Hicks, what's
he up to?
Golf. He's making a lot of money to play golf right now from the Yankees. But so the cortisone shot obviously relieves it, gives you some strength, gives you the ability to go out there and
I really appreciated. So Chris Kirschner, is that how you say his last name?
Kirschner, yeah.
Kirschner, who writes for The Athletic, tweeted Volpe's bat speed by year: 2023 70.9 miles per hour, 2024 69.3 miles per hour, 2025 72.6 miles per hour. Throwing harder and swinging harder this year. Seems like the shoulder is not impacting his strength. And he did kind of get caught up in his tweet because he also put throwing speed in there, and everyone was like, it's his left shoulder, not his right shoulder. But left shoulder definitely impacts how hard you can swing the bat, and he is swinging harder on a mile per hour rate this year than the previous 2 seasons. And I just love that tweet because it's a reporter who obviously sees through the bullshit of the Yankees.
He's been asking questions. Actually, he has been one of the guys that's been pushing back and like, asking that follow-up question as well. So I appreciate where he's come from.
Some reporters have been this year.
Yeah.
But Kirschner is not a guy who can just tweet out like back when I was on Twitter, man, like the Yankees are full of shit. He's not hurt. But that's essentially what he is saying by pulling these numbers and tweeting those out.
Yeah. Yeah, that is what he's saying. And it's just like, hey, don't fall for this excuse of he's hurt. That's why the results aren't there. The results aren't there because he's not progressing as a baseball player.
And do you think they're hiding behind this injury thing for the sake of Volpe's benefit, like his psyche, or is this
I don't know. At this point, I have no idea because I don't think it's a beneficial thing for anybody, to be honest. It's not beneficial for the Yankees because we're all watching the same game. We all see what's happening. So whatever you're saying doesn't really mean much because we've watched it. We know what we're looking at. I don't think it's beneficial for Volpe either because it puts him in a weird position in the sense that, he almost has to like support what the Yankees are saying about him rather than come. He's a company kid. He is. He's not going to like buck up against anybody. That's like, no, he doesn't have that type of that personality or voice. He's gonna go along with it. And I think when you're struggling that mightily and you're hearing that he's the guy, it's you need to be told at some point that like, it's not good enough right now. You need to be better. I don't think it's good for his career when you're almost coddled like that. So no, I don't think it's beneficial for anybody. So I don't really understand the point.
But they've been coddling players. That was like a whole reason they moved on from Girardi was because they needed to coddle their young talent more.
I know.
And the stuff with Volpe has gone beyond coddling. It's like I said it last week. It's full on gaslighting.
Well,
And now he's benched because I do think this is a benching. But they don't call it a benching.
okay, that's what you're saying. The injury is part of the benching. It's at this point. Look, this is the first time though this year that I don't know if you could probably go back to say that the Yankees have another option at shortstop that is better. I mean, it's indisputable right now. Caballeros is better. He's a better player right now.
Right. Yeah. That was always the
there was no one there.
That was the comeback, not the comeback,
pressure.
but yeah, it
was always it was a glove behind him. There was a glove in some capacity, but now that there's a guy that, leads the American League in stolen bases, he's getting on base now. And again, I think that play he made last night was just fantastic. So you see him playing defense as well, right, at a relatively high level, at least in spurts. And there's nothing to say that Volpe should be on the field right now. There's a guy that's beating him at his job, and this is the first time that's happened.
Why Tampa just give him up? I don't understand that.
I don't know. They want prospects.
So
they always want prospects.
And if you go back to when Volpe was playing against Detroit, I think it was Tuesday, he had that bunt attempt where there were 2 runners on. This was in the Tuesday game when it was still like a 1-run game or a tie game. And the Yankees sent him up there to bunt to move runners over to second and third.
Yeah.
And it was just like it was a horrendous bunt attempt. It was like he whipped the bat around and got into like an awkward position. He ended up popping the bunt up or something like that. But, and you're just looking at it, you're like,
he's injured.
No,
it's hard to bunt when you have a torn labrum,
But it's like there's nothing he's contributing to the team, which is why I think it's inexcusable if he gets another starting shot. And what I'm legitimately afraid of is he gets a starting shot down the stretch here. They're playing teams that are out of it, that are probably pitching AAA pitching to see what they have in the minors. And he gets a couple of doubles and some home runs off of AAA pitching, which we know he can hit. And then they use that as a springboard to be like, oh, Volpe, he's the guy going forward. And then he gets into games against the Red Sox or the Tigers or the Mariners or whoever the hell they end up playing, and he's overmatched again.
Yeah, maybe they're looking at what Volpe has been in the postseason, and they're saying like, well, if we just get him back healthy, he's a guy that can play in the postseason, and we have a track record of much better performance out of him. So that's what they're leading into. Like these are actual storylines that very possibly could come up.
Yeah,
these are actual talking points. I'm not joking. These are actual talking points.
I'm afraid of them. Okay, yeah. I'm afraid of them because I don't want to see Volpe out there to start in the playoffs.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Fall is a busy time of year for all of us between back to school, busier routines, shorter days, and playoff baseball. Finding time to cook can be difficult. That is why I use Factor. Their chef-prepared, dietitian-approved meals make it easy to stay on track and enjoy something comforting and delicious no matter how hectic the season gets. With Factor, you can support your wellness goals, enjoy even more GLP-1 friendly meals, and their new Mediterranean diet options packed with protein and all the good kinds of fats. Try new foods for the first time. Try Asian-inspired meals with bold flavors introduced by China, Thailand, and more. And my personal favorite thing about Factor, you save time and stress because it's super easy. You just heat the meals up, and then there's no mess afterwards to clean up. 97% of customers say Factor helped them live a healthier life. Feel different no matter your routine. Eat smart at factormeals.com/Bronx50 off and use code Bronx50 off to get 50% off your first box plus free breakfast for 1 year. That's pretty cool. That's code Bronx50 off at factormeals.com for 50% off your first box plus free breakfast for 1 year. Get delicious, ready to eat meals delivered with Factor. Offer only valid for new Factor customers with code and qualifying auto-renewing subscription purchase. Thank you very much to Factor. And the baseball playoffs are just around the corner. If you're looking to find and attend playoff game tickets or any other events coming up, look no further than Game Time. I've used the Game Time app so many times. I absolutely love it. I've used it for baseball games and theater tickets, but they also have great tickets for all sporting events, concerts, and more. The last minute deals feature is especially cool because you can snag great tickets for affordable prices just by waiting. You can save 60%. I also love the all-in pricing feature because There's nothing worse than being hit with surprise fees at checkout. Game Time just tells you what the total price is going to be up front, which is appreciated. Last but not least, the lowest price guarantee means if you find tickets in the same section or row for less, Game Time is going to credit you 110% of the difference. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use code Bronx for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account, redeem code BRONX for $20 off. What were we talking about?
Volpe. I think we've beaten.
I think we've beaten it to death. The pitching in the first two games for the Yankees against the Red Sox. So Hill didn't give up a hit, was it, till the fifth inning? Definitely started. He threw a lot of pitches, and then Fried threw a ton of pitches as well, but got them into the sixth inning. I thought Fried should have been pulled, not let to face Connor Wong when Boone came out to talk to Fried. You could hear on the broadcast, Girardi was saying, it looks like Fried is done. He's leaving his pitches up, and it looks like his legs are not under him anymore. That is the analysis from a former baseball manager and catcher who's watching in the booth. And Boone ended up trusting his guy there. He's done this a few times with Fried. And Fried, first pitch, gave up a single up the middle to Connor Wong. And it just baffles me that, like, why doesn't Boone recognize Fried is done in that spot? He'd thrown so many pitches. He had a couple long innings early in that game. He was gassed. It was obvious he was gassed. Everyone could see he was gassed. But Boone either couldn't see it or saw it and still went with his guy. And that's just not winning baseball. Like, yes, there's times to let your pitcher, to push your pitcher, and he hasn't done that. He's been too quick to hook pitchers, too quick with a hook. But that was an opportunity. It's a close game at Fenway Park. You need to win that game. Pull him. Go to Weaver there. And he didn't. And it's just mind-boggling that after 7 seasons, he still does not have those in-game feels.
A couple things here. Heel did not give up a hit. I know. I'm just correcting. I think you misspoke. The heel Cruz came in and gave up the hit. So we're walking in. This is like the new era of no hitters in baseball. It's you get a no hitter into the 6th inning, 7th inning, but your pitch count is so high that you
there was no chance.
The game.
Well, like it's not like you had to push him for one more inning. He wasn't going to push him for 3 more innings.
But I'm saying, like, this has happened way more in recent history, not just with the Yankees but across baseball, because the pitch counts are getting high. I don't know. I understand that Fried looked as if he were done, legs underneath. You're watching what's happening here. But when I'm looking at the numbers in the bullpen and I'm seeing Max Fried, who's the one guy on the mound that you trust going deep into a game to figure it out a little bit, he's the only guy that I see as someone you can stay with longer than what you probably should, to be honest, because the bullpen has been so bad and they've given up so many games. Trying to get as much out of Fried as possible to hopefully save the back end of your bullpen, which is where you have an opportunity, but that was the 6th inning. So you're looking at Fried trying to get through the 6th inning. I actually don't hate that, to be honest. Like, a guy like Fried can go out there and struggle and pitch through something like that, even if he doesn't have his best. And frankly, do you want 75%, 80% of Fried or, going into Leiter Jr.?
Or Weaver came in. Yes,
I understand. But Weaver's also been given up. Weaver has,
but he
down
came
the stretch
in
here has not been. He's not the guy that you can just go in there and automatically and feel great that he's going to come in and finish that inning out.
Nothing's automatic with this team.
100%.
Weaver did come in and got out of the inning, got a big strikeout. I looked at Fried. I was watching him pitch. He had already given up, I think, 2 hits in that inning, plus a walk, because I think there was a third base runner. And he comes out like it was obvious he was done. That's all I'm saying. Like, sometimes you just know by looking at a guy, this guy is done. Or you think, maybe he's got a little left in the tank because that was like a bloop single, or he didn't get a pitch there, or he's still hitting his spots. The hitter just put a good swing on the ball. That's not what was happening. Everything was belt high in the middle of the plate.
Yeah. I mean, he came out at 105 pitches. He, walked a couple, struck out 6, gave up 9 hits. So he was not at his best. There's no doubt about that. Again, I'm saying I'm not even defending Boone in a way here because I feel dirty doing that sometimes. But if there's one guy that you let go, the problem is it's not just him. He's done this with other guys as well. So there's a track record here for doing exactly this. But Fried's the one guy you do that with.
Fine. Fried's the one guy you do it with. But I think you also have to know when the time to do it or when there's not time to do it. And I don't think Boone knows.
No, he doesn't know. He definitely does not know. And, Cruz coming in, has he given up a home run every time he's been out for the last, four?
No.
Four? It seems like Cruz has been giving up a lot of home runs. Now you're seeing as he is like going to be one of the 6, 7, 8, 9 guys in the back end. Bednar is essentially your closer at this point, but you're mixing in some capacity, getting through. And this is the reality. If you have Fried getting into the 6th inning and he's at 100 pitches, you need multiple guys out there to do their job.
Yep.
And you need to pull the right string for the right guy in the right time. And that's where Boone, doesn't have a ton of confidence in the fan base, but that's what's going to have to happen. Because if you think that Fried is going to go 7 innings, maybe
he needs to.
Fried has the opportunity to do that, but Rodon will not.
No.
Heel will not
No.
if he's in there. Schlittler will not most likely in a playoff game. So you're looking at Fried being the guy that has to set the tone and be able to save that bullpen. Because if they're not doing that, if he's getting into the 6th inning at 100 pitches and they have to go to the bullpen at that point, I know, but even in a short series, in a 3-game series, if he's leading the charge and coming in there in the 6th inning and they have to go to their bullpen that early, that puts the rest of the short series in jeopardy because you're going to have to go early anyway.
Well, a 3-game series is essentially a 2-game series because you fall behind 1 game and then it's do or die. So you shouldn't even be thinking about game 3 in a 3-game series. You should just be thinking about those first 2 games. Also, with Fried, he needs to be the guy that go deeper in games. And in my opinion, that's not pushing him at 105 pitches through to the 7th inning. That's about having him not give up 9 hits, however many walks, and throw 105 pitches in 5+ innings. Like, you need to be at 100 pitches in the 7th inning, not in the 5th or 6th inning, because most pitchers are not.
I mean, you're talking to Max Fried right now.
Talking to Max Fried.
Max Fried.
Boone can't control that. Fried did not pitch great, but like most pitchers, once they reach 105 pitches, are not going to be at their sharpest anymore.
When you have a guy like Fried in Boston who doesn't have his best stuff because he did not have his best stuff, pitch around situations and give up two earned runs, right? Through 9 hits, like you scatter 9 hits, you're going to come out with more runs. So you're looking at a guy who in Fenway, which is a difficult place to pitch. Obviously, the Red Sox, I know, are not at full strength. They're missing guys. They'll have Anthony back for the playoffs, right?
Well, it's going to be very close because they said 4 weeks, which puts him basically like the last weekend of the season.
I mean, so yeah, they're going to have him back though. Like he's going to play whether he's at full strength or not.
Right.
But he'll most likely be there in some capacity, I would say. But you're going in there, at least you're getting this guy who's battling through that, right? And you want to see that from your ace. But you're right. In the playoffs, it's not like I'm killing Fried for not having his best stuff on there. What we're saying, I think, and what you're saying is that he has to have his best stuff for this team to succeed at the end of the day.
Because
there's no other. When you're looking at the paths for the Yankees to win in the playoffs, especially in a short 3-game set here, which you're right, after the first game, it's do or die. And then you got to throw the kitchen sink at everybody because you can't lose that second game. He has to be on point. He has to go deep into the game because if the Yankees are going to the bullpen early in the Max Fried game, that's big trouble.
Yeah. And I guess we can move on to the playoff different scenarios right now. Like we already said, Yankees would have to make up 5 games against Toronto. And I just don't think there's enough time to do that. Toronto's also on like a 4-game win streak, so they're playing better. I know they've come back a bunch. They won some late games, but making up 5 games in 2 weeks is a lot. So what you're looking at is you have a 1.5 game lead over Boston. I think the Yankees have to play an additional game, right? Is that math check out? Yeah. So the Yankees are 2 up in the loss column and 1 up in the win column, which means the Yankees have to play. They have an additional game to play. As long as you win the same amount of games as Boston down the stretch, you will have the number 1 wildcard spot because you're a game and a half up. You can't finish tied.
Unless Houston or someone else goes on a heater. Yeah.
Right. You're right. Unless Houston or Seattle. No, because if they go on a heater, then they win their division.
Well, Texas is right there also. So it's possible in the AL.
Texas is 2 back of Houston, who is 1 back of Seattle. So if Houston goes on a heater, unless Seattle
it's possible for two teams to go on heaters.
Yes, you're right. I don't know what their schedule is if they play each other down the stretch or whatever.
Yeah.
All I'm saying is most likely scenario is all you have to do, Yankees, you hold your own destiny now. You control your own destiny. Just win as many games as the Red Sox, who have a tougher schedule than you, which is a good thing for you, and you will play the wild card games at Yankee Stadium. If you lose more games, if you win 1 fewer game than the Red Sox, you're going to be playing that wild card game at Fenway Park. Unless, take the AL West teams out of it. If the Red Sox win 1 more game than you, they tie you, they have home field because they have the tiebreaker.
Right. Looking at Toronto's stretch or schedule down the stretch, Tampa 4 away at Steinbrenner Field. So I don't even know. That's just a home run derby, basically. Then they go to Kansas City for 3. Then they're home the final stretch, 3 against Boston. So that you want those teams to beat each other up, obviously. And then Tampa.
At that point, though, you might be rooting for Toronto to win the games against Boston.
True. That's right. Yeah. If the division is out at that point, then yes.
Like if you're 3 games out of the division at that point, you're not catching Toronto. Just Toronto, go sweep Boston for me.
Yeah. And then they have Tampa again, at home for the last 3. So, I mean, their schedule's harder than the Yankees, definitely. No doubt about it. But yeah, like you said, they'd have to make up 5 games in order to overcome that. So, look at who the Yankees are playing in this final stretch. Like they could win a significant amount of games. They could pile up wins with what's coming up right here. So there is an opportunity if the Yankees come out and just do what they need to do against the teams that are far inferior. You have 3 games against Minnesota on the road, 4 against Baltimore, 3 at home against the White Sox, and then 3 against.
You're gonna Baltimore go 10. You go 10-3.
Yeah, but that's the thing. Like you look at that, you could go 11-2. They could go 11-2. In fact, when you're looking at
Toronto, if they go 6-5, you still don't win the division.
Right.
Like it's a lot.
That's what the Yankees need to do. And frankly, they can do that against these teams. These are bad teams. They should mash against these teams.
Yes.
They should mash against these teams. You're going to see, the last couple of weeks here, you're going to see a lot of really bad pitching.
You're going to have some run differential stacking, baby.
Yes. A lot of bad pitching. And that's the thing. When the Yankees are up against bad pitching and they can hit home runs and they can pile it on, the pitching staff on the Yankees can hold serve.
You're also playing teams that are like, we have nothing to play for.
No, they're making plans for the offseason.
Just worried about my Caribbean vacation after this is over.
Yeah, or trying to make a good impression for the team. There's some of that like young guys you're coming up, but you have any veteran on that team is just counting the days. They're counting the days until they don't have to do anything anymore. They can go spend time with their family.
It's the last week of school. It's the last week of high school. It's like, I've already taken my finals. What are we doing here?
Yeah. Yeah. So it's in front of them. It's right in front of them.
So I want to talk about the Yankees' path to the World Series, because we all know last year they had a Moses parting the Red Sea path to the World Series. Okay. That shit was easy. I don't think it's going to be quite as easy this year, but I do also think everything's open in the American League, because I don't know if you had a gun to your head, who's the best team in the American League. Don't ask Jazz. I'm asking you.
Yeah, I would say Toronto.
Okay, you'd say Toronto. Some people would say Detroit, because they have the best record and they've been the most consistent probably all season. My point is,
Skubal came out of the game too. I don't know what came about that, but he came out. He basically pulled himself out of the game recently. So
Google that quick.
Something to watch. Yeah, keep talking and I'll look it up.
So this is something we've been talking in our text chat, but basically it's about like, oh, the Yankees are playing their best baseball right now. That's a good thing. The American League is open. Like, I agree with all that, but I just want to go back into history a bit to talk about how they seem to follow a very similar pattern every single season under Aaron Boone. And the pattern is a hot start in the beginning of the season, an unbelievable May where like the starting pitching is off the charts. The team looks like they're unbeatable. They kind of come back down to earth in June and they play horrendous baseball basically in the summer months, like late June, July into August. August, they start to figure it back out again. Maybe they've acquired one or two players at the deadline. September, quote, they've figured it out. We're playing our best ball in September. And then in October, they have lost to the first legitimately good opponent every single year. In 2018, they had a really great regular season, but Boston won the division because they were historically good. The Yankees beat Oakland in the wild card game and lost to Boston. They got their ass kicked in that Boston. It was an embarrassing. They didn't know what time the game was starting type of crap again in that division series in 2018 against Boston. 2019, they had a great regular season. They won the division, beat Minnesota in the division series, as they do anytime they play the Twins, and they lost to Houston in the championship series. You want to throw the COVID year out? Fine. Like, I don't even know what to make of the COVID year, but they beat Cleveland in the wild card series, American League Central, and they lost to Tampa in the division series. Tampa ended up going to the World Series in the American League. So you could call that a legitimately good team. 2021, mediocre regular season, but I do remember after they made some of those deadlines at the deadline, those acquisitions at the deadline, they started to play better, but they lost to Boston in the wild card game. Was Garrett Cole healthy or not? I don't think so. Probably not, but they lost to Boston in the wild card game. 2022, they had a historic first half. They had an incredibly mediocre second half. They scraped by Cleveland in the division series, and they got swept by Houston in the championship series. Missed the playoffs in 2023, and we know what happened last year. They were clearly the best team in the American League last year, all year. They beat Kansas City and Cleveland essentially by just not making mistakes, and then they got embarrassed against the Dodgers. So what's going to happen this year? Because Jazz thinks they're the best team in baseball. And anytime they go on a little bit of a run, he calls them the best team. You know, any team that thinks they're better than us, they should know that when we step on the field, we're coming relentlessness. We're coming with relentlessness. We're coming to step on necks. We're not here to play around. We've said it all year long. We've been playing to everyone else's level instead of our own level. We've been losing games ourselves, making errors, just having poor at-bats and stuff like that. He's absolutely right.
He's right.
We finally looked ourselves in the mirror and realized that we're the team to beat. Okay, Jazz.
We are the New York Yankees. So we are the New York Yankees. They repeat it. It's one of those you just got to keep saying it to yourself in the mirror, and then damn right.
He's right. They have beat themselves. They beat themselves last year in the playoffs. They beat themselves the year before, the year before, the year before, the year before. They don't play well, okay? Like, if you point to things, it's that. You don't run the bases well. You've made errors at key times. You don't hit with runners in scoring position, yada, yada, yada. Instead of talking about it because you won 2 out of 3 at Fenway Park, go prove it. And until they go prove it, I don't know. Also, word to the wise for Jazz going forward, or anyone who wants to declare yourself the best team in baseball. Scott, you know the cliche, you only hold team meetings when your ace is pitching the next day?
Yeah.
I want to put an amendment to that. Don't declare yourself the best team in baseball if Will Warren is starting the next day.
Or do it after the first inning, just so you know what's happening. Yeah, no, look, I have no problem with the way Jazz talks because that's just his personality. He's going to come out there and say things. He's obviously a confident guy. He's confident around with the guys around him. And for a lot of what he said, he's not wrong. A lot of guys just wouldn't say the things. He's just an open book and says those things. So look, if he says it, to say it, like, however you have to do it. I don't know which comes first.
He's manifesting it.
Yeah, fine. Then do what you got to do, man. But you're right. They gotta play. They gotta play at the end of the day.
Go prove it.
He'll look great if they come out here and run the table and play well in the postseason. They play clean baseball and they acknowledge the fact that they had their own demons and they're able to clean it up because they're professional baseball players. And they're able to field the ball and throw the ball and hit the ball, then great. We'll look back and Jazz was right. Jazz saw something. Obviously, there was that team meeting was really good. It's unfortunate that Warren was pitching the next day, but they did come out of the Boston series with 2 out of 3.
They did. They did.
Yeah. Tarek Skubal, by the way, quickly is the headline says all good news. This was on Saturday, I believe.
He pitched Friday, didn't he?
Okay, Friday then. This was the articles on Saturday. No structural damage, but he felt some tightness on his left side. So they were I think they were looking
an oblique.
Or
hold on, what was it? What did Jazz have? It wasn't an oblique.
I don't remember.
No, remember they? I'm gonna find this.
So from Hinch,
we made fun of it.
It's all good news. The scan back came back clean. So obviously
flank.
Good news for him. The flank, right? Like he's a side of beef. But here's the next quote, the most important quote, I think. We've got a lot of work to do to get him through his soreness. So there's obviously something that happened here. There's tightness, there's soreness, and that is one of those injuries, whether it's fully injured or a little injured, you feel it. As a pitcher, when you don't have the rotation that you need for your full mechanics, you start getting sloppy. And anytime anybody gets sloppy, I don't care if you're former Cy Young and the front runner for the Cy Young coming up as well. Anytime you're not able to execute the way you normally execute because of something that feels wrong, you have the opportunity to get exposed.
Sure.
So that's definitely something to watch over the next few weeks here. I just imagine they just are using kid gloves with him for the rest because they also need him for the playoffs. That makes them a very different team if Skubal's not available, or even if he's there and not his best self.
So what team would you be most afraid of? Or
I think Toronto is the most dangerous team.
I'm talking about wild card series only right now. Okay. Because you can't play Toronto in the wild card. Well, there might be a scenario where you do, but go along.
We're not gonna talk about that scenario.
So if you play,
the Red Sox would have to run the table.
So essentially, you're going to play either Boston or you could play Seattle or Houston, or I guess in theory you could play Texas if they get super, super hot. But let's talk about Seattle, Boston, Houston. Rank your confidence level. 1, the most confident, 3, the least confident of those teams in a wild card series.
You said, did you not put Seattle in there?
Seattle, Boston, Houston are the 3 teams.
I guess Seattle's probably at the top. They're number 1. Then I can't put Houston number 2. I just can't. So I guess it's Boston, then Houston.
So I think Boston too. I thought their lineup looked.
That said, it's a different story. I think Boston at Yankee Stadium makes me feel a lot better than Boston at Fenway. No matter what happened this past weekend, I still think, especially if they get Anthony back and he's, just assume he's healthy for this conversation. Like, they're a dangerous team at Fenway. There's no doubt about it. They can put up a lot of runs very quickly at Fenway Park. I think they're a different opponent when at Yankee Stadium.
And I agree. On the road is different for Fenway. I think that's probably the biggest swing for on the road versus home is Boston.
And Crochet, like they I don't know how much of this was there's an early 6-run spot and Crochet just being a little bit more aggressive, but they did score off of him. He did not shut them down. So I think that gives you, and Judge has hit a couple different home runs off of him. He's clearly been able to get to Crochet. So, when I see that as well, it doesn't make me, and obviously they got to Bayo, they were able to kind of exercise their demons a bit against the starting pitching of Boston, which I thought was a really important piece for confidence moving forward. As a fan, you're looking at that like, okay, these guys have not dominated us over the last outings they came against each other. So and especially if you go to home, if you're at Yankee Stadium, like, to me, that's different, and your level of confidence is higher. And I think as the players, they would feel the same way. So, I think Boston at home or at Yankee Stadium is a different story.
Bayo, I never understood why Bayo shut the Yankees down. Like, okay, you get shut down by Crochet, you understand why.
Yeah.
Like, Bayo, it's like, what's going on? The lineup configuration though might look different if Yankees are at Fenway, because they put Stanton in left field. He obviously didn't look great in left field, but I don't know. What are your thoughts on Dominguez not play Slater playing over Dominguez? It's like
they're playing
leading off.
They're playing the leading off. That's where we're like, what do we? When I saw the lineup card, and
was that Thursday? I think
I'm at a point here where where I'm like, you hate him.
It's
You
crazy.
hate him against right hand if he has to hit as a right-hander. Like, you hate him. Then if that's the case, who gives you a better opportunity? Jason Dominguez hitting as a lefty against a lefty, or Austin Slater in the leadoff spot?
AC Slater.
It's crazy. It's just like the
It's
fact that they got to that point is wild. I mean, he made a nice play in the field last night.
But it's just like, oh my
And that's
God.
possibly it, but you're also hitting him leadoff. It's like you're not just burying him at the bottom, you're hitting him leadoff.
I get it's not apples to apples, left fielder / outfielder versus shortstop, but it's like you gave Volpe 1,800 consistent plate appearances before you finally were like, all right, I guess we've seen enough right now. Where it's like they have with Dominguez, it's just like, oh, you're not hitting 400 over the last 2 weeks. Sorry, you can't play.
I can no longer state like it is what it is at this point. They're clearly not playing him. He's not getting played. This is not going to be the year that
he won't play in the playoffs. He'll pinch run.
Honestly, yeah, like you're a pinch runner, but he's not even a defender at that point. So it's very difficult to see him. You have to have multiple guys. He's a waste of a bench spot at that point. Because again, like I've said this before, you could pull up a guy from AAA who can play defense and run the bases. And what's the point in having Dominguez in the way that you're going to use him at that point? If there's an injury, you can still bring him onto the roster and you're using him earlier in the game. But I don't know how he doesn't slate into the way, no pun intended, he doesn't slate into the way that you want to use him as a bench player in the playoffs, because you don't trust him as a defender.
Right. I mean, you would over Stanton, but that's basically it. So if Stanton starts in the outfield, you're bringing, but then at that case, they'd probably just use Slater.
Right. So yeah, it doesn't, I don't know. It's
bizarre.
Him playing in the playoffs. There's not a real clear path, to be honest.
No. So you ranked Seattle, Boston, Houston. That's how you rank.
And I will say this: I don't think that's in the ranking of who's the best team either, because Houston's had their struggles, no doubt about it. And the
Yankees, I think, played a better series against Houston.
They did.
A couple weeks, whatever that was, 10 games ago. They hit their starting pitching. I think the Yankees out of this gauntlet stretch looked the best versus Houston.
I don't disagree with that, but it's still Houston in the playoffs.
Yeah,
and
still
to me,
and
So maybe there's a little bit of exercise in the demons there, but I don't know. It feels so far. It's so far past the time when they were the Houston Astros that we hate. I know there's a lot of the players still are back there now and still there, but there's a lot of new blood. I don't know. It doesn't feel the same. But at the same time, like I will not take that for granted. And seeing them in the playoffs is still the Houston Astros in the playoffs, and you have to go there. And that's something that it's not easy.
I think I would rank Seattle definitely 1. I think if it's Boston at Yankee Stadium, Boston, and then Houston. If it's Boston at Fenway, then they're the team I least want to see.
Yeah, I agree.
All right, guys, that's going to wrap up today's show. Thank you guys so much for tuning in to the YouTube Live and also for listening on audio. We'll talk to you again next Monday.